Welcome to the Six Figure Influencer Podcast. I am so happy you are here. Today, I am going to break down an Instagram post that I made recently that many of you liked. And I've gotten a lot of response to and a lot of questions, basically to go deeper into some of the points. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to do this on the podcast so that everybody can benefit from it, because it really is such an interesting concept and something that I've been actually teaching a lot lately. Like, I just wrapped up money calibration, and a big piece, what I taught in money calibration is essentially what I've shifted through in the past year myself. And anyway, this has just been such a fun topic of conversation lately. And I want to bring it here because it's super, super, super interesting when you look at it. So the post that I'm referring to, I made it a few days ago, and I posted this graphic. And on the graphic, it says, a year ago, I was making 20K months. Now I have 20K days. Here's what's changed. And then I gave a very simplified but honest list of 8 different things. Like, what were the biggest factors that have moved the needle the most in terms of my business? And I named 8 things, and then I couldn't go any deeper because Instagram. So let's talk about it. Let's go deeper into it. And I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I wish I'd put this on the caption. But what's even cooler, and I think another reason why I want to bring this conversation to the podcast, is what's even cooler than the fact, the difference of me a year ago and now, is the difference of me 2 years ago and now, and the difference of me 3 years ago and now. So 2 years ago, I used to dream of 20K months. 2 years ago, I used to I had 20K months on a pedestal. I used to journal. I had to have journaled about them for a freaking full year before I ever hit it. And I used to ponder, what does one even do with $20,000 a month? I couldn't even wrap my head around it. That was 2 years ago. A year ago, I am now making consistent 20K months. So much so that a year ago, last summer, I was in a bit of a business funk because I felt completely plateaued at 20K months. I could not surpass them. That was my new energetic minimum that I felt stuck at. I've shared that story many times where I had to catch myself, and I had a really big aha breakthrough moment where I realized that 20K months are freaking amazing. But because I wanted to grow and I felt like I wasn't growing, I was constantly putting out this vibe of lack and scarcity because I felt stuck. So when I was able to clean that up, and I realized that of course, I'm going to continue to grow, and it doesn't matter that other people are getting different results than me, and, just re-anchored myself in my own power and what was possible for me, then my revenue shifted. And then that was last summer. And then very quickly, within a span of 30 to 60 days, I cannot remember if it was a month or 2 months, I shifted from 20K months to 50. And now my average month is probably around 60. That's probably the average. I go 50 to 70 and, back and forth. So, and included in that, I put on the post, or I have these insane revenue days. I used on the caption or on the graphic 20K days, but 20K, 30K. I mean, there's insane revenue days that are mixed in all the time that are completely normalized now. It's just these things happen. So for myself to reflect on this and be like, oh my gosh, like, look how far I've come. If you only knew, and I'm trying to paint the picture for you, like, if you only knew how far I've come with my own money stories and my own results in just a year ago, like what that looks like. It's so fascinating. And I think the reason why I wanted to bring this to the podcast as well is because we are so driven. We dream so big. I know you dream so big. I know how ambitious you are. And sometimes a downside of that can be losing sight of how far you've come because you're so focused on where you want to go and what you know is possible for you. Sometimes that can be at the detriment of realizing and having appreciation for how far you've come and the beauty of what you've created and what you're creating right now. So this, like, just making this post for myself, it was a really cool moment because it kind of allowed me to re-anchor myself in my own gratitude and be like, wow, okay, yes, I'm still working toward these really big goals. And I still have moments where I feel restless and I feel frustrated and like it's not happening enough. But realizing and like zooming out of my business and looking at how far I've come just in 1 year, let alone 3, let alone 4, I realized like I'm moving. I'm actually moving and I'm moving pretty freaking fast. So imagine where I'm going to be in a year from now. So it just kind of brings me some peace. And I hope that, and I encourage you to do this for yourself, whether this is your first year in business, your second year, your fifth, or you literally are just getting started. There is a point, there is a you that you can absolutely compare yourself to, where you can realize like, okay, I'm for sure growing. Well, like maybe it's not the business version of you, but like an old version of you in another job or in another business where there is a very distinct contrast. And that is something to celebrate. So anyway, let's dive into these tips. Before I get into these tips, a couple of things that are important to note. I think by the time you listen to this, we still might be enrolling for 10K in a day formula. So if you create your own offers in your own business and you want to learn how I personally have these really, I say easy because I've figured out how to launch, but like easy 20K days, 30K days, in a very short amount of time via what I call micro offers. Go to the link in the bio and you can see if that's still open, if that interests you. And also this week, we are launching something brand new. It's all around selling on social media via like DMs. And anyway, here's what's funny. As I record this, I know we're going to be selling this when this goes live, but I don't even know the title of it. So go find me on Instagram. If you want the secrets to selling in your social media and your DMs and all of the juicy secrets, I know that doesn't tell you very much. Just go find me on Instagram and by then we'll have it named and you can see if it's right for you. Oh, me. But it's funny because this is one of the points. Like one of the things on the list is I'm stretching my capacity for what I'm launching and what I'm putting out into the world. And I'm having fun with it and I'm not making it be perfect. And if that's not proof, what I just did, I don't know what is. Or just, you know what? You make it work. So anyway, let's get into this list. All right. So again, how I went from making 20K months to 20K days. So I want you to think of this for yourself. Just what we're really focusing on is not so much the change in revenue, right? Like the actual 20K months, the 20K days. It's the difference in the results, right? It's like going from, I used to dream of this a month and now I make this in a day. To do this, there's a very, it requires a distinct change in your actions and in your energy and in your frequency and the belief in yourself. So that's what I want you to focus on, because you can do this in any stage of your own business. You don't have to be at 20K months to do this. You could be at 100K months and you're like, okay, I want to have 100K days. Okay, cool. So anyway, these are the things that I know have made the biggest difference in that change for me, in no particular order. Number one, I took the training wheels off my business. So I said this in a hot seat the other day because one of the women in the group, she asked me, she was like, what's one of the biggest changes that you had? Like when you went from 20K months to 50K months and you started seeing this distinct change. She was asking like, what were the big things that changed? And one of the things that came out of my mouth is I said, I woke up one day and I realized that I was essentially like a grown woman riding a bike with training wheels. Like that's how I was treating my business. I was fully capable of taking them off, which what I mean by that is like doing my own thing, making my own decisions, not relying on the safety net or the safety of other people telling me what to do. Like truly running my business in the way that I wanted to run it. I was fully capable of that, but like I was so reliant on like, what should I do? What's the best thing to do? Looking to coaches, not to like calibrate to their energy, but to duplicate their strategies and duplicate their processes, even if those things were not in alignment with what I actually wanted to do, which was the messed up part. It was like, I don't even want to do it this way, but I look at this person as successful, so I feel like I need to do it that way. So that's what I mean by training wheel. So at one point, I finally began trusting myself and asking myself the question, how do I want to do this? How do I want to run this offer? What days do I want to work? What do I want to talk about in the podcast? What do I want to, I think there's totally a training wheel period in a business. And it makes sense. If you've never ran a business before, if it's new for you, it makes sense that you use training wheels for a while so you don't fall down and hurt yourself. Like look to other people, success leaves clues type vibe. But then, and especially if you're doing that and you're not like completely and utterly lit up from the inside out, like so in love with what you're doing and your business, then it's time to be like, okay, it's time to take these off. It's time to try this my way. So that happened, made a massive, massive difference in so many different things. The second thing, and again, these are no particular order, but one of the things, I let myself have fun with my offers. So in the same way that I just said, we still have spots for 10K in a day, and I'm selling something right now that currently, as I record this, isn't named. Like I'm just having fun with it. The other day it was a CEO day. And in our CEO days, I have a team meeting with Sarah, and we're launching more than we ever have before. So like we're selling multiple things and we're hosting multiple things. And it's honestly, it's so much fun. But she asked me because she knew like in our notes, I knew that I was going to be selling something around selling on social media this month. I knew that. And it was going to be the last half of the month. And she kind of looked at me. She was like, hey, you sure you don't want to do that in August? Like, does any part of you want to do in August? And I was like, And I kind of felt it out and I was like, no, let's do it now. Like it feels so good and we're not dropping any balls. I mean, it totally feels like a stretch for sure to be selling things back to back and hosting things back to back, but I'm finding that I'm fully capable of it and fully capable of doing that and taking good care of my clients and like all the balls are in the air. So I'm like, no, let's go for it. So I'm I've been like at this point, I'm fully having fun with my offers, but this started last year. And this was part of the taking the training wheels off of my business. Like, what do I actually want to launch? What would be okay, if I want to teach how to create offers, how do I want to teach it? Like having fun with my titles, having fun with the format, having fun with the price point, just like really no more like you should do it this way, you should do it that way, but like what truly feels so fun. Because what I found is the more fun I have selling this thing, the more that you feel my energy. You see that like I'm fired up about this. If I'm fired up about this, you're probably going to feel more fired up about it and you're going to want to join me. Right? Like, why wouldn't you want to join? Like, if you're interested in the topic that I'm talking about or that I'm teaching, and I fully believe and I'm fully confident in how awesome it's going to be, you're going to want to join it. So, the more that I've started having fun with my offers, I've noticed a change in my sales and change in the attraction of the people that, or the type of people that are attracted to these offers, which is really cool. The next thing on the list, I came out of the energetic closet and started infusing my content and podcasts with what was actually working for me, which truly is all of the energetics and strategy. So a year ago and prior to a year ago, I was all about the strategy. I was all about like, here's what you do when you do it and how much you do that. And, it was like step 1, step 2, step 3, pure strategy. Why? Because that's what I knew. And because that's what was working for me at the time. And then at some point, I began learning about like the power of your mind and the power of your energy and the power of aligning yourself to the frequency of that which you want to attract. And yeah, like I started learning about this, I instantly became obsessed because it just resonated so deeply and it felt so true for me. And then I started testing it out and it started working and it changed all of my results and was so much more fun and so much easier. But for a while, I was afraid to share that with you. For a while, I was like, is this too, quote, woo woo? What are people going to think? It was just like, I don't know if taboo is the right word to say, but like, I don't know. There was a part of me for some reason that was nervous to talk about this because you would see some people hate on it and make these really ignorant comments about energy. And anyway, so it kind of freaked me out because I wanted everybody to like me. So I was like, okay, I'll just stick to strategy. And then finally, I was like, I can't not talk about this anymore because if I'm going to talk about how to do something, which every podcast you listen to is how to basically do something that I've figured out. If I'm going to be honest with you, I have to tell you the full picture. And the full picture is strategy is the tip of the iceberg. Strategy is necessary to an extent, but it is not the full picture. You are only going to get so far with strategy. So the other piece is absolutely, and I would argue the bigger piece is the energetics, especially, I think in everything, but especially when it comes to building a brand and building your own business and, all that it all of the mind work that comes with that. And yeah, I think like the stronger your mind and the more that you understand about energetics, the more fun you have and then the better results you get. So I finally came out of the energetic closet and started infusing that in the podcast and my content and now in my courses and my programs. And what I noticed was I received like such an incredible embrace. There were a couple of times where people would make comments and, whatever, but those were so few and far between. But I would say like 99.9% of people freaking love the vibe, or they've just flowed away and haven't said anything, which is also perfect. And that's their right too. But I noticed like such a change in the response to the podcast. I noticed a change of listenership and just more of the people that like I wanted to, I would hope would listen. We're listening and we're reaching out and we're saying how much the episodes are resonating with them. Same thing with my content too. So I just noticed this change of engagement, and a change in what felt like the impact I was putting out into the world. It felt deeper. It felt like before it was a little bit more shallow and vanilla, and now it's like it's deeper and just leaving more of an imprint is what it feels like. And because of that, I've built more of a listenership. I've built more trust and credibility with many of you. Thus, more of you want to work with me, which has helped results as well. The fourth thing, I started celebrating my money wins. This started happening a year ago. This was another thing that I shied away from because of a fear of bothering people and not being classy. And like I grew up in the South and you don't talk about money, especially women. It's just like this old paradigm conditioning that so many of us were brought up in. And it's so deeply ingrained in my DNA. It's just not what you did. But what I noticed for myself is there was nothing that inspired me more than hearing other women talk about the money that they were making and the results that they were having. As a matter of fact, the only reason why I have the results I do today, I fully believe this. And the reason why I dream as big as I do today is because of other women honestly sharing their behind the scenes and honestly sharing what they're creating and what they're going for unabashedly. There's nothing I love hearing more than hearing a woman's honest money story and like how she got there and what went right and what went wrong. Like this has been the driving force for me. So I realized like, okay, if I feel that way, there has to be other women that feel that way too. I feel like there's a reason why I'm attracted to that. So maybe I'm meant to share this as well. So when I had this big breakthrough a year ago, when I realized that I wasn't celebrating my own money wins because I felt plateaued and because I was comparing it to other people, a challenge for myself was to start sharing with you because I wanted to share that big breakthrough with you anyway. So part of that breakthrough is I had to kind of come clean on how much money I was making a month. And it just spurred, it was this massive catalyst, massive. And it made such a difference. Like so many of you loved that I finally started talking about this. And we're so excited to hear more. And some people didn't vibe with it too. And that was okay. But when I started celebrating my money wins and sharing like what's actually going on behind the scenes, I think it showed my honesty in a way, like me just being real. Cause I don't just share money wins. I share like the dips too. And I share like the good and the bad, or I do my best to. So I feel like it built credibility with you, but then it also showed many of you that I know what I'm talking about. And like, we're doing really cool things over here. And And that's been really cool too. And it's helped attract a lot of more people into my world and help spur a bunch of really fun offers. And it's been a catalyst for many very cool things. The next thing on the list is I don't make my current results wrong or anything to do with me. I fully trust in the timing of all. And when I say fully trust, I'm going to say I mostly trust in the timing of it all because I certainly have my days. I'm not perfect. But what I mean by this is my results are my results. And I just wrapped up money calibration. And I said this in the training that like, we don't go up to the ocean during low tide and freak the F out that it's low tide, right? You don't go up to an ocean during low tide and say, oh, the water's gone. Where is it? Oh, it's disappearing. It's never going to come back. It's just going to keep receding. The world is ending, right? No, because it's the ocean and the ocean ebbs and flows. And where there's a low tide, there's soon to be a high tide and everything in between. And it's a cycle, right? It's fluid. It's just an ebb and a flow like nature. But something I realized is as an entrepreneur, this is typically what our money is like too. And this doesn't mean that we can't do things and build businesses that are more consistent and that maybe have less dips or less like they don't have to be so deep. But like it's going to ebb and flow. So in the past, I would look at my bank account at any given moment and freak the F out, right? And this is like a small snapshot in time. So essentially, I'm going to my bank account just like I would an ocean with low tide and freaking out. And then I realized, wait, this is just, it ebbs and it flows. Like, yeah, it's a little dip now. It means nothing. If I don't make it mean anything, it means nothing. So learning to like be super, super neutral about my results and just understanding this concept that like as an entrepreneur, this is kind of what we signed up for. When you're an employee of somebody, you like the trade-off is you pretty much know in most cases, in most industries, what you're going to get paid and when. So you have that consistency, but typically there's a cap, right? Typically you're not going to make it past a certain amount. That's the trade-off. As an entrepreneur, the trade-off is there is no cap to what we can make, but our revenue is going to ebb and flow. You know, it's never going to be like this straight up positive trajectory in most cases, I don't think. So anyway, I stopped making my current results wrong and I detached my worthiness to my results because it has nothing to do with me. Money is just an energy. Money is just a tool. It has nothing to do with like who I am as a person, the snapshot of my bank account and my results, because it can change any minute, any minute. Okay. The next thing on the list is I diversified my offers and stretched my capacity to hold more energy in terms of clients, containers, and more launches. We kind of already talked about that. So in the past, I used to abide by the rule that like you launch one time a month or like every other month. Yeah, that's just kind of what you did. Or actually, gosh, it used to be way less frequent than that. Like the thing to do when I came up in this business, the ultimate strategy that everybody and their brother was doing was like maybe quarterly launches or even like biannual launches. Like you create one thing and you launch it multiple times that year. And if those launches don't go well, you are screwed, basically. That's what I learned. Like that was the way to do it. And since then, and this was part of taking the training wheels off, realizing that like I get to launch as often as I want when I want. And what feels really good to me, and I think it's because I'm a Manny Gen, and there's definitely seasons to this. This is not constantly, but like this season right now, I I've never felt more creative. I have amazing energy. So I'm just like, let's have fun. What do I want to teach now? What do I want to teach now? What do I want to teach now? Put it out, put it out, put it out. And like stretching that capacity has been so fun and rewarding and has made a massive difference in the volume of revenue that's coming through the door because I'm putting out more offers. Therefore, I'm able to serve more people. Okay. The next thing and the last thing on the list is I fully believe that 10K, 20K, 30K days and beyond are possible, and I go for them frequently. So there was totally a time where I never even would have been able to fathom that, in the same way that I used to not be able to fathom what 20K a month felt like. I couldn't understand wait, you can make multi-$1,000 in a day. No. So we grow and we evolve. And I have stretched myself for like now I fully know that's possible because I've experienced it. But first, before I experienced it, I saw other people do it. And I fully I just have the attitude now that if she can do it, so can I. It's just a matter of time. So I leaned on other people's proof as proof for what I'm capable of versus looking at my current proof as what's proof what I'm capable of, which a lot of people do. It's a big mistake. Allow yourself to be a little foolish. Lean on somebody else's proof because if they can do it, so can you. And then eventually I started seeing it pop off. And I was like, oh, if I can do a 10K day, I could do a 20. If I could do a 20K day, I could do a 40. If I could do a 40, I could totally do a 6-figure day, and I just play around with that energy and different offers. And I go for them frequently. So one of the ways that I go for them is and I did an episode on this, the last episode, talking about to receive more, stretch your capacity. I think that's the title. It's the episode right before this one. But I talk about how I had the thought, wouldn't it be cool? It was the end of the month. Wouldn't it be cool to create an extra 20, 30K by the end of the month? How would I do that? I came up with an offer. I put it out immediately. We sold 5 spots. And by the end of the month, I brought in an extra 15K and then another 10K the first day of July. So I believe I can do it and I go for it and I have a strategy for it. And by the way, that's what I teach, that exact strategy in 10K in a day formula. So if you're listening and it's not July anymore, it's probably evergreen on my Kajabi. So you can go to the link in the show notes and see if that's available. But that is the evolution of 20K months. Even before that, not even thinking I could get, not even knowing what I would do to 20K months, to then consistent 20K months, to now 20K and beyond days. That is if I had to make the most simplified, but honest list, that's it. Those are the things. Those are the secrets. That's truly the things that have made the biggest difference. I fully, fully believe. So anyway, I hope this served you. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or any thoughts about this, you can always reach out to me on Instagram. I love to hear from you. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. If you're interested in what we're launching now and you want to see what the title is, because it's going to be something fun, just go to the link in the show notes or check me out on Instagram and there's going to be plenty of information. But I love you. I hope you have a great rest of your day and I will see you here next week. Bye.